everyone. Welcome to Amazing Transformations. And we have an amazing guest here with us today. As you know, this is our friend Geoff Palmer. He is amazing. I can't stop saying the word amazing. I guess that's why I called it Amazing Transformations, right? We need to come up with some new words. Welcome, welcome, everyone. I just want to read you a little bit about Geoff for those of you who might not know who he is, but most of us do because he is like a legend in the vegan world and the bodybuilding world. Um, Geoff is a 61-year-old, 39-year vegan and is a natural bodybuilding and natural physique masters champion, the owner of Clean Machine, plant-based fitness nutrition, author, national lecturer, vegan patent holder, and two-time Nexty winner for the best supplements of the year. In 2016 and in 2018, Geoff was selected number 40 of the top 100 most influential vegans by Plant Based News. He created the first vegan bodybuilding competition in the world. Clean Machine donates a portion of sales to Food for Life Global, the largest vegan food relief program in the world. Clean Machine is proud to have fed over 10,000 hungry children. FFLG. That's amazing. One moment. I was just telling Geoff that my cats are not getting along today. The older girl and the boy. I'm like, that was the wrong timing. They haven't done that all day as soon as we're live. Let's go back to where we were here. So, and we were just talking about how amazing it is. And I love that about Geoff. He's so grateful and gives back to the community. He fed 10,000 hungry children through his organization that he promotes here, FFLG, in search of a plant-based replacement for one of the most commonly consumed animal source supplements, fish oil. Geoff was the first to launch ahi flower oil, clinically proven to be 400% more effective than flax, superior to chia, hemp, or any other non-GMO plant source of omega-3. Ahi flower is the richest source of essential omegas of any non-GMO plant known to date. Wow, that's amazing. I had to say it one more time. Geoff will share the latest research which shows why consuming preformed EPA and DHA from fish oil or from fish or algae may not be the best approach to optimal human health. And all of his links, I could go on and on forever, but all of his links are in the description. Those are just some of the things that he's accomplished. I know I've learned so much from him on his Clean Machine live streams on YouTube. I love how he challenges the myths that we all think are true with nutrition, and he does research and then explains it to us in a simplified way. So I love that. Geoff, I appreciate you returning again. We had a brief meeting before, and I'm so happy to have you back with us. Thank you for joining. Welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. I love having conversations with you because you ask really intelligent questions, which is great because it makes for a good conversation for other people to listen in on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And welcome, Mariquita Solis, another amazing vegan. She's now on the Harmonic Earth Healers. Check out her page too. I just want to say, I know that we delved a little bit into it last time, but just for people who may not have seen it, our last interview, I'll link it in the comments here later on after the stream. But can you just give us a little synopsis of how you got started being vegan? Was it, you know, something you did eventually, or was it overnight? Kind of how your journey began.
Yeah, it was a day I'll never forget, March 15th, 1985. So I'm in my 40th year of being vegan, but I'd lost my father. My mother's diagnosed with terminal illness. I lost my brother too as well. So my family unit was falling apart, and depression really hit me hard. I suffered from severe suicidal depression and attempted to take my life a couple of times. Fortunately, I did not succeed. And I met someone who introduced me to a healer, and he helped me with a breakthrough that was so intense. I was literally freed from my suffering, from my depression in that conversation. It was extraordinary, life-changing moment. But in that relief and gratitude, I just said, wow, what a amazing transformation I'm experiencing. How can I help others not suffer like I had suffered? I wanted to end my life, and I woke up the next day and I wanted I was just so joyful for life. And I'm like, how can I pay this forward? How can I give this to others? So I sat in meditation for the longest time, just asking myself, how can I give back? And my higher voice just came to me and said, stop harming the animals. And I'm like, wow, okay. I've always been a nature person. I loved being out on the water, being in the woods, just being in nature all the time. But I never made that connection. And I'm like, how did I miss that? The animals don't want to suffer. I hated suffering. My suffering was so intense, I wanted to end my life. Why would I want to contribute to the suffering of animals? So I quit doing all drugs. I quit smoking. I quit drinking alcohol, and I quit eating all animal products that day, that moment, and haven't gone back. And I started looking around, and I'm like, okay, I had such an extraordinary, life-changing event, but it's not something I could readily explain to people. When I talked to people, they looked at me like, oh, that's a little weird. So I'm like, okay, how can I help people make transformations by doing something that's a little more seemingly attainable, or more familiar with them, something that they wouldn't go, oh, well, you did that. That's for you. That's something you could do, but I could never do something like that. Or I don't need to make that big a change. So I said, all right, what are the two key things that most people do in a day-to-day life? One, you eat, and two, you move, right? And I'm like,
Right.
well, let's start there. If I can get people to make better choices. So I was a science geek. I was a biopsych major in college, and my father was a professor at the university level. My mother was a psychologist. So I grew up in academia, and I said, oh my God, I got to learn how this human physiology works, because if I can help people, show them how what they put in their body affects their mood behavior, affects their livelihood, affects their health, I was like, well, maybe I can get something here. So I just became fascinated and just immersed myself in it. But back in the 80s, when I was in college, there wasn't really much in the way of, I didn't even know the term vegan back when I changed. I called myself a strict vegetarian because I didn't even know there was a word vegan. About a year later, someone walked up and said, oh, you're vegan. And I'm like, oh, cool, there's a word for this. I'm like, that's awesome.
It's great when you figure out what you are, right?
Exactly. I'm like, oh, great. Somebody actually described this exactly. So I was like, okay, all right. Well, let's do that. If I can find some amazing plants in nature that really promote health in an extraordinary way, maybe people will get that. Like, wow, I feel so much better. I can work out so much better. I can think more clearly. If I can find some of these extraordinary plants that other companies aren't going to do, because one, nobody knows about these plants. Nobody knew about ahi flower when I brought it to market. People are like, what is that? And why should I buy it? So
I was intrigued. I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah. So it's taken a while, but now I'm the top seller of ahi flower in the world. But I really want to try to bring things to market that are extraordinary, so that people can experience real health, real fitness, and get it sooner. So that's why I formed Clean Machine. Encourage people to keep this amazing machine that we're born into, the human body, clean, free of animal products, free of drugs, alcohol, and just find what the joys of life are. Because I feel like if I can just get people a little bit healthier, they're going to say, that's great. I want more of that,
Exactly. That's amazing. That's an amazing journey from your own self-discovery. And I do find like that surprised me that what you eat truly can affect your mindset and your overall, you know what I mean? I mean, and we all know, hey, I feel better when I'm eating healthy, but I think there is such, and I want to get into the nutritional supplement industry too, but also just in food or in our own world, health and being healthy has such a broad meaning that means so much different to so many different people. And like, you know, I feel like some people think it's healthy if they just eat lean meat and you know, and take a lot of you know, different things into their body. Like, you know what I mean? I think we all know that fruits and vegetables are healthy, but there's a lot of discrepancies, and there's a lot of discrepancy, I think, in the supplement industry. We got into it a little bit last time with people can put a label of healthy and clean on anything, and it's not, you know, and people are taking all kinds of weird stuff now, organs of animals, and you know, this craziness I see online, I have to turn it off sometimes. And I know I've sent you a couple of screenshots like, Geoff, look what this person said. You know, can you reply? Because I don't have a good comeback. I remember when we were in the class together, I would always be like, what would you say in this situation, right? So it's just so interesting. Where do you think, especially I guess along the line too, we have to talk about when did you get into bodybuilding, and I'll go back to that in a second.
Yeah, so I started working out I was a swimmer in high school and college. Well, one, I grew up on a lake and we were always in the water. So I was like a little fish, you know. I
Right.
loved swimming. I could swim across the lake and with no problem, even when I was preteen. So, you know, I got into weight training because I was taking, you know, I got district awards and set records in high school in swimming. So I was like, oh, okay. When I finally got to college, I was like, okay, this is way better than I'm gonna ever be because of genetics. So I stopped, but I still loved working out. So I kept working out, and I did it just for health and because I really like pushing myself. It releases endorphins in the brain, and there's study after study showing that resistance training really can improve and reduce your risk for not only disease states and cancer, but also for mood behavior and behavior issues like depression. So I work out to keep from being depressed. And fortunately, knock on wood, I haven't had a single day of depression since I turned vegan. So
That's
diet has a huge
amazing.
impact, but I've always worked out too. So that's why I've really focused on health and fitness being one of the whole, because everybody says it's diet and exercise. But how well do we do diet? To like your term, people saying healthy, but they're eating a bunch of junk. And then they say, you know, oh, I exercise. Yeah, like once or twice a month. Okay, that's
Right.
not exercise. You know,
It's
you
like you're
gotta
talking
say,
directly to my
you,
soul, Geoff.
you got to be honest with yourself. If just be honest. If you're not exercising, just say no. I would like to exercise more, or I should, or I'm going to start. But don't say I exercise and placate your brain, you know, or don't
Right.
say I eat healthy and then go grab, you know, the the garbage that's in the refrigerator.
Right.
You got to start by being honest with yourself. And you know, when people say, well, you know, look, at 61, how can you have arms like that, right? You're on steroids. No, no drugs whatsoever. But it takes dedication, it takes consistency. So your body will adapt and respond to whatever you do regularly. So if you have a vegan donut every once in a blue moon, you're not gonna balloon out to 300 pounds. It's what you do regularly that matters. If you're eating mostly fruits and vegetables all the rest of the time, well, your body is going to adapt to that. Just like that with fitness and exercise. If you're regularly working out, you're going to get a better adaptive response than if you just do it every once in a while or stop start. So
I
that's
gotta
the
get,
key
I
is
gotta get started right now.
consistency is key. There you go.
I got my weight. Um, can you just say, like, what do you think? And you've done so much research. Why are you able to have such muscles, and and be so fit, and also and there's a myth between masculinity and meat intake, but there are plenty of people who I talk to that work out, and they basically say they have to have meat. Where does that come from, and how can we dispel that myth? Like, what is the research with how you can build muscle? Does it have anything to do with meat?
Yeah, it's a great question. And muscle is made, human muscle is actually made predominantly of essential amino acids. Our body can make all the rest of the amino acids it needs for other things, but we have to get essential amino acids from the diet. Now, animals do not make and cannot make essential amino acids. These are the ones that we need. All animals have to consume essential amino acids. So plants make essential amino acids. Animals do not. Yet, as you can see right here, yes, I get enough protein, right? Because I get that question so much all the
Wait to get
time.
into talking about all your products in a moment too.
Yeah, almost all protein in everything we eat originates in plants. That's most of our essential fatty acids, most of our, all of the things that we need. Vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids. There's only two nutrients that don't come from plants that are actually made by bacteria, and that's vitamin B12 and vitamin K2. And both of those can be made in the gut bacteria. So these are made by bacteria, and everything else is made by plants. So there is not a single nutrient that is required for human survival made exclusively by animals. None. Zero. Not one. So we're taking all these nutrients made by plants and bacteria, feeding them to an animal, then killing the poor animal just to take the nutrients that it got from the plants, instead of just getting it directly from the plants itself. I mean, everybody loves saving money by going to Costco, right? Because it's cutting out the middleman.
Right.
Cut out the middle one in nutrition too as well.
There you go. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, so it's just really clear. But a lot of people also think, protein builds muscle, which you need a certain amount of protein in order to actually gain muscle. But you also need micronutrients. You also need, different macronutrients too. Carbohydrates are used in the process. Essential fats are used in the process. Most people don't know that essential fats like EPA, especially EPA, is used in the mTOR pathway, which is actually how we build muscle tissue. So it's not just protein that builds muscle. It's like saying, oh, you just put gas in a car and it runs. Well, no, if it doesn't have a steering wheel or wheels, it's not going to run either. If it doesn't put oil in it, it's not going to run either. The engine's going to freeze up. It's not just gasoline that makes a car run. If the carburetor's not in it, it's not going to run. So it's not just protein that builds muscle. You need all the nutrients there and all the protective environments. And we see time and time again that those long-term consuming animal products have less and less ability to be able to process the protein. So we're seeing that now. We actually, a brand new study on twins, right? It was a really big study. I think they took like 4,000 twins, and they looked at them and they found that those eating very high protein actually lost muscle as they age. So
wow.
Too much protein can actually cause what's called sarcopenia, or age-related muscle loss. So too much protein is not a good thing. They're assuming, we don't know for sure, but the assumption is that maybe that over amount of protein is actually causing the body to back up and negatively feed back, saying you're getting way too much protein. We're going to start burning it as calories instead. And then you end up being a protein burning machine instead of a carbohydrate burning machine. Protein is needed for the building blocks. If you're sitting there using it as throwing logs on the fire, it's like building a house. You need to build a house, you need those wood, right, for the logs to build the house. Well, if you end up burning them all as fire, as energy, you're not going to have any wood to build the house with. And that's exactly what we saw in this this study on twins.
That is amazing. And I love your analogies because you know, simplify it. I would say if someone hasn't, check out, I think it's Thursdays at 4 on your Clean Machine YouTube. Those are just amazing revelations how you bring up a research study and then explain why it's inaccurate or why it is accurate. And so when we're looking at carbohydrates, that's another thing, that's something we need. So I think that's another one of the myths out here, that the carnivore diet is so good, and the keto, because we lower all our carbs. And I've asked you before what you eat, and you eat a considerable amount of carbs and still maintain weight, and I do as well. So there's definitely a myth with that. I think sometimes, I don't know what you think, but I think sometimes eliminating 90% of your diet is going to show a weight loss or some kind of improvement. But long term, what are these things doing to us? I know not only the protein, I've heard studies too about how they affect our brain. You know, that it's not good to have that high amount of protein and nothing else, no other nutrients. So
Yeah, that was a really, really sad and frightening story on looking at keto diets for longer term. So keto is are producing ketones in our body is a backup energy source. So if there's a scarcity of carbohydrates, like we just can't find decent carbohydrate sources, which should be nearly impossible, because if you're eating an animal, most likely that animal is eating plants. And so whatever they're eating, you could probably eat too as well. So that doesn't make any sense. But let's just say you're forced to eat higher protein and fat and lower in the carbohydrates. Okay, so our body can use it as a backup. Just think of it like a donut tire, right? If you have a flat on the interstate, you can throw that tiny little donut tire on there, and it's a good backup. It'll get you to the gas station. But you don't want to run for 100 miles and drive to California on a donut tire. That would be insane.
You're going to make me want vegan donuts if we keep bringing those up. Second time we've said donut.
So it's a backup system. So what they said was like, all right, so our heart uses, and our brain uses an exorbitant amount of glucose. About 20% of all the glucose you consume goes straight to the brain, is used by the brain. So the brain is a glucose hog. All right, but our heart uses it too. Why? Because it's moving all the time, constantly moving, and our brain is constantly thinking. So they're big carbohydrate burners. They're big glucose users. Now, what happens when you remove that glucose? Well, ketones can go in there and make energy, but very inefficiently, because we don't normally use ketones, because we're normally not starving, not poisoned, and not running on zero carbs. Okay, so that's what happens. So what happens to the heart when the heart has to keep pumping and those heart cells run out of energy because ketones aren't supplying enough energy? What happens? They found something pretty frightening happens. The mitochondria, which create the energy from the ketones, start to collapse because there's not enough ketones to supply the mitochondria. As the mitochondria start shutting down, they don't produce enough energy to feed the cell, to keep the cell alive. So the cell collapses. So you have heart cell death happening. Now, this is even scarier. It would be one thing, okay, then you go off the diet and the heart replaces the cells, and okay, you're back to normal again. That'd be okay. Temporary loss of heart cells. But that's not what they saw. They saw the heart so concerned that it's not going to get enough energy that when those heart cells died and collapsed, the heart replaced them with fibrotic tissue, scar tissue.
Oh my.
So you're scarifying the heart muscle permanently by going on a keto diet for a long period of time.
Thank goodness I was too in love with potatoes and bread in my 20s because I tried
Yeah.
that briefly. And I'm so glad I just never felt right. And this is way before I was vegan, 20 some years before, but something about it didn't feel right. And I don't know what it is, but all of us, I feel like, who are vegan, somewhere along the line, we were moving in that direction, like it had to take one thing to like make it kind of click. And like you said, sometimes it's an unfortunate situation that happens. I just want to welcome Diana Varner, Plant Based. Thank you for joining. Carrie, she said she's lurking and she loves us. Thank you for lurking around here. And Muriel in the Raw, thank you so much for joining. She's always here to support me. I appreciate your joining, and I know she loves Geoff's info too. Um, and hello, Rogue. Her little grandson is becoming a star now, making cooking videos. He just made healthy chocolate last night, I think. And that is so interesting. Last time we were on, just to touch on this too, you told me that you had read a study that by kids being 15 years old, they are already developing kind of was it like clogged arteries sometimes we're seeing. So like if you're watching this, I totally get it. We both were meat eaters at one point. Everybody gets comfortable doing one thing, but we're here to tell you there is definitely an alternate way to eat. We're never starving. We're not restricting. It's like, and you're looking at Geoff right here, especially if there's men watching who think you need meat. It's like, this is basically why I put myths in the description, because there's a lot of myths that it really, Geoff has been key in this industry, to be able to dispel those. Because I can go around saying I'm vegan and they're like, well, you're just a wimpy girl, but when you get these guys who are big and strong and, that are building muscle and athletes becoming vegan, then that really helps. So I appreciate you doing that and making your whole entire life about it, because even your business is a vegan business. And I guess that's where I was wondering if you could kind of lead us into, when did you start winning championship like competitions in your industry, and is that what got you into the supplement field?
Well, so a couple of things. In my research days in college, and even after then, I was looking at modern farming practices. And unfortunately, we do what's called monocropping, which is we grow one crop in a field. Well, in nature, that never happens. Crops grow of all different kinds. Some are what's called nitrogen fixing plants, which actually help build up the soil, and some are nitrogen robbing plants. So you can grow a certain crop on a piece of land and it'll pull a lot of the nutrients out of the soil. But what are you doing to replace those nutrients? In nature, in the wild, those other plants would die and return a lot of these minerals back to the earth. Long story short, the food that we're eating today is nothing like the food that was grown wild. A Rutgers study showed up to 1,600% more minerals in biodynamically grown food than in modern grown food. So our food itself, we think we're eating healthy by eating a salad when the salad has practically no nutritional value to it anymore,
Right.
because of the way we farm it. So it's look, our body runs on certain nutrients. Our body doesn't really care, if you're getting it from lettuce or from turnips or whatever. All it says is I need those. Now, if you have changed that lettuce so that it's not as much nutrients in it, your body says, well, wait a minute, that's not enough. You can't just think, hey, I'm eating healthy, therefore I'm getting all the nutrients I need. No. So I challenge people to go on like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or one of the database sites, load in your food that you normally eat. Don't look at the results. Just type in honestly what you really eat in a day, on an average day, or even a week, even better, and look at your nutrition. Are you getting enough of the B vitamins? Are you getting enough vitamin D3? Are you getting enough omega 3s? It will tell you. So it's no good lying to ourselves saying, oh, I'm eating healthy and therefore I'm getting everything I need. And your body's saying, no, you're not.
Right. And
I
that's
need
maybe why
something
some
more.
people think that it doesn't work. Like, oh, I tried this diet or this plant-based diet and it doesn't work because they're literally not getting enough of everything that they might have been getting in their previous diet because they're not properly getting all the nutrition.
And unfortunately, we as humans have focused on the calorie side and not the nutrition side. You know, you can get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on white bread and it'll give you all the calories you need practically for an entire day. But is it giving you the nutrition you need? No, not even close. So, yes, we're feeling satiated because we're getting lots of calories. As a matter of fact, we're eating too many calories. That's why we have a 60 to 70% obesity and overweight situation in the United States, because we're eating too many calories and not enough nutrients. So we're calorie rich and nutrient poor. That's why a plant-based diet can help so much, because if you look at fruits and vegetables, they're nutrient rich and lower in calories. I mean, you look at a gorilla's diet and they can eat 40 pounds of food in a day. Now they're getting super amounts of nutrients, and that's why they're one of the strongest animals on the planet, because they're so nutrient rich and lower in calories. That's the way to go, and that's what a healthy whole food plant-based diet can do for you. But we can still have gaps. We travel. We are in a workplace where sometimes we can't always eat exactly the way we want to. We visit family. We go out to dinner at restaurants. It's not a perfect system, but our body doesn't care. It still needs the perfect nutrients in order to run properly.
Right.
And that's where supplementation, I think, can help, especially with certain supplements like vitamin D3. 90% of Americans are not getting sufficient amounts of vitamin D3 because we're just not out in the sun all day anymore. We're indoors.
And
We're
in
inside.
certain areas, we can't even get the proper nutrients because of how far we are from the sun at certain times a year. I know I've learned it. I thought if I go outside or sit in front of the window or something in the December here, I could get it, but it's not the case. I've read and researched, you do need that vitamin D3, and we're also not, like you said, out working all day or walking and foraging food like we used to. So the very minimal time, especially a lot of us work from home now, and really it seems like the door is 10 miles away, right? When you're busy, you can't really get out in it. So I definitely think that's an important one. And I feel so much better since I started taking it, because I was one of those under the notion that, oh, I don't need any supplementation. I'm eating healthy, years ago when I first went to this, and I started experiencing issues like with B12 deficiency, like not, luckily I caught it right before, but I would read what those issues were. And that's not a very good thing to mess with B12, because even if you think you're getting foods within it, you may not be absorbing it, like the sea vegetables. So that's why I got so interested in discovering your supplements, because you have some of the best out there that we know are tested and certified and all that good stuff, and vegan. Especially for a vegan person, you kind of want the person to be vegan that has the business, because they know how important it is. Somebody else might be like, oh, they'll never notice, throw a little fish in there.
Well, it's sad, but it's true, and it's unfortunate. I've actually seen things labeled as vegan on the front and read the ingredients, and it's got honey in it or, milk products in it. And I'm like, well, that's not vegan. How are they? They shouldn't be able to say that. And that's the food industry, which is even more strict than the supplement industry. But yeah, we're third party certified vegan, so everything we do is strictly looked over with a fine tooth comb. I do it myself because I don't want it.
Right.
If I'm going to use it, I'm not going to want it. But yeah, just finding these extraordinary plants. I was the first to bring ahi flower to market, the richest source of omega-3 of any plant ever discovered. I was the first to bring lemna to market, the first plant with actually bioavailable vitamin B12 in it. True vitamin B12, the kind that the human body actually uses. Um, I was the first to bring DM33, this cactus flower. It is the most effective in helping optimize our hormone levels for both men and women that I've ever seen in published human research. So just some extraordinary plants that no one else has done or is, not doing in any significant way. We've got a new protein coming this summer. Oh, that I'm so excited. We're going to be the first company in the world with this protein source, and it's going to be a whole food protein powder.
Add that on right now, next the award winner 2024 too, right? Or next year, right? 2025. I bet you'll have that again. That's amazing. And could you describe what it is exactly one more time now?
The protein?
Yeah.
So not quite yet, because we're going to be the first company in the world with it. But
yeah,
what I will say is that it is completely whole food. So all the proteins available on the market are isolated proteins. So you have to take pea protein and you just isolate out the pea. That means you strip out, thank you. You strip out all of the good stuff, all the phytonutrients and antioxidants and fiber and essential fats, all get just tossed out and you just get the protein. This is in its whole food state. All the fiber, all the polyphenols, all the prebiotics, all of the antioxidants intact in its whole food state. Yet it mixes just like a protein powder. I mean, yeah, chocolate and vanilla protein powder. You can mix it in water. You can mix it in soy milk. You can, and it has nutrients in it that are not in any plant-based protein, period. So it's really exciting.
That's amazing. And I know, yes, I think you were mentioning it will be in a powder, right?
Yes, it will be in a powder. So you can mix it, you can bake with it, you can make pancakes and muffins, you can mix it into a milk and pour it on your cereal or granola. This is amazing. And I'm honored to have the exclusive on this and be the very first company in the world to bring this to market.
And you're here on this live stream. That's so cool. Yes. I'm excited, right? I'm like, I just, I'm so impressed with you because there's a lot of people who just want to be in the supplement industry probably to make money, and they throw things together and put it out there. And you can tell that you have that passion and the innovative way to not only give us supplementation, but take it to another level of bringing whole food to it, like what the omega-3 thing is always confusing for people, I think. And that's the ahi flower, the natural source of that, right?
Yes. Ahi flower is not only the richest source of omegas, but if we can go a little bit of science, because if you understand the science, you'll understand why it's so much better. So fish oil and algae oil are what they call preformed. That means it's formed outside of our body. Our body can take ALA and turn it into SDA, then ETA, then EPA, then DPA, and DHA. So all 6 forms can be had if you start with the plant essential omega-3. When I asked people, and I just did a lecture, and I asked people, and everybody said, what is the essential omega-3? And everybody said EPA and DHA, and they are not essential. So how does 99% of the population not even understand what an essential fatty acid is?
Right. I don't know.
That's awful. I mean, we all know what protein is and that we need it.
Right.
And we know they're made of essential amino acids, but we don't even know what the one essential omega-3 is. And it's ALA, and it only comes from plants. So I'm like, wow, why does people? But there's about 10% of the population who has a genetic variant. It's called APOE4 genetic variation. And they don't produce that enzyme that converts ALA down to SDA, that starts the whole chain down very well. So if you had a plant that actually had really high amounts of SDA, that's the second one, then you could make it the universal omega-3 for everyone to take. And that's what I found with ahi flower. It is the richest source of SDA of any plant on the planet. Flax doesn't even make SDA. Chia does not have any SDA in it at all. So if you have an APO4 gene, which you probably don't know if you do or not until you get genetically tested, this actually is perfect for everyone. So it's not only the richest source of omega, it's the only one in the plant kingdom that can meet everybody's requirements for omega-3. It's just an extraordinary plant.
That's amazing. And how did you end up, like, how did that happen? Like, I've never heard of it until you mentioned it. Obviously, that's why you were the first, but I had never, and then I like looked up what it's like, oh my goodness, like where's this been? How did you discover it?
So it started from heart space. I'm a compassionate, ethical vegan. I became vegan for the animals because I don't want to see or contribute to suffering for any other species. And for me, when I looked at veganism, I said, okay, how can I do the greatest good to the greatest number of animals? Well, the number one species that is killed on this planet is fish, by far. 90 billion land animals are killed every year for our food supply. Almost 3 trillion fish and sea life are killed every single year for our food supply. 3 trillion. This is horrible. When you take a fish out of water, a fish breathes water with low amounts of oxygen. When we breathe air with low amounts of water in the air, water vapor in the air. So what happens when you put water in people's, that's called waterboarding. It's considered the worst form of torture we know. The opposite, when you take a fish out of water, now its gills are loaded with oxygen and it burns their gills, scorching, excruciating pain. And then we leave them in the boat until they die from basically being waterboarded to death. It is the most brutal and grotesque form of animal abuse I can possibly think of. The dairy industry ranks right up there once you understand that whole process. But I said, all right, I've got to tackle this issue because people believe fish is the health food. Fish is where you need to get your omega-3s from. So I've dedicated the last 20 years of my life working with some of the top omega-3 researchers in the world. I'm working right now with Dr. Methrel and Dr. Basnet and Greg Cumberford from NCI. These are some of the top people in the omega-3 nutrition field. And Dr. Methrel is just about to release a study this summer. I can read these beforehand. I can't talk too much about it until it's published. But it shows this idea that people were thinking, hey, wait a minute. When I take plant-based omega-3, it doesn't convert to DHA in my bloodstream. Therefore, I'm not getting enough for my brain. Well, the fish oil industry scared people with that data, knowing full well that the measurement in the blood is not the same as what's going on in the tissues. We now have a study that will be released this summer showing that 47 times more ALA is converted to DHA in tissues, in the liver, in the fat, in the brain, 47 times more than what they see in the blood. The blood test is false. The blood test is scaring vegans into thinking that they need to take preformed DHA from fish or algae. You do not. Our body makes all of the DHA it wants, just not in the bloodstream. It shuttles it to the tissues and stores it there until we need it. So we now finally have the research to show that the fish oil industry has been lying to us. The algae industry has been lying to us, trying to scare us, thinking we're not getting enough DHA for the brain. Look, I've been vegan for 40 years, 4 decades, and have never taken preformed DHA in 40 years. If there was seriously a reason to take preformed DHA from fish or algae, my brain would have stopped working decades ago, period. It would have shut down. This is a lie, and it's a fear-based lie that they've scared people into, and now everybody believes fish is an omega-3s. It's not. That's not where we get the vast majority of it. Even people who eat fish, 70% of their omega-3s actually come from plants, just from the plants that they eat as well.
Unbelievable. And the fact that they know the truth, they're lying for the money. It's just like how our whole food system is set up, along with the pharmaceutical industry. Like they know this stuff. There may be some people who don't, but trust me, if we know it, I'm no scientist, and I've done my own research, and I know that that's a lie, that you need meat and you need dairy, and I know what it also causes in our health, and what I see my family and people around me and friends suffering, just like animals are suffering. They're suffering based on, all of the ailments that they have, the high blood pressure and the, diabetes and all these things, chronic illnesses, even worse than that I now know, and from you helping educate us too, that they're really being caused by what we're eating, yet that's what's recommended for us to eat. It just does not make sense. And there's a whole industry full of people wanting the medication to not, you don't want people to stop taking it. It's a business. And what I love about what you did was you took your passion in business and you tell the truth. You don't fear sell anyone. You're trying to prevent them from being fear sold on untruths, and there's so many people, like I had never heard that story about the fish before. And like Dawn said here, welcome Dawn, thank you for joining. Drowning fish with oxygen. Yeah, it's amazing. I'd never thought of it that way. And it just, everyone in the comments is just commenting about like that. When you told that, it's like we sometimes don't think of seafood as an animal, or as a living being. People just kind of dismiss it. And the fishing industry, it's horrible. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for clearing that up, because I literally welcome Angela from Boomer and Beyond Wellness. I had no idea. Like I didn't even know DHA EPA, like how it's converted. And so seeing that would have probably made me have to reach out to you, like, Geoff, is this true that we need fish oil? Like it's taking vegans and fear selling them into coming back over to that other side.
The plants have it right over and over and over again. I mean, if you look at plant nutrients, they do precursors. These precursors allow our body to regulate. So we'll need a little bit higher EPA if there's something wrong with our heart. So our body will then do that conversion step and produce EPA. But if you're doing preformed, it's like you're pushing in stuff that's already made. And our body says, well, wait a minute. As a matter of fact, brand new study out just 2 months ago showed that by taking preformed EPA from fish or algae, and this bothers me because so many vegans have been scared into thinking that they have to take DHA from algae just to mimic what fish does. And I'm like, no, that by taking DHA, you force your body to shut down its own production of DHA. You actually reduce the amount of DHA that is going to be utilized by your body, because remember, we're intaking plants. Even if unless you're just a pure 100% carnivore, you're eating plants every day. It's whether it's bread, potatoes, whatever, pizza, it's mostly plants. So we're consuming a lot more ALA from plants than other sources. And it blocks its ALA from converting to DHA every time you take a preformed DHA. So you're actually doing your body harm. DHA in its preformed state, if it goes into the bloodstream, brand new study out in 2022 actually showed that the people taking DHA increased LDL cholesterol and increased your risk for heart attacks and stroke and atrial fibrillation. Increased. heart attacks, stroke by taking fish oil.
Wow, that's interesting, and that would be another myth that we're taking out right here. That it's a
I
lie.
I had one guy I had a couple of people who are vegans who saw my video and said, "Oh my God, I saw your video that LDL cholesterol was increased." He goes, "I've been vegan for 8 years." This guy was talking to me. He goes, "I've been vegan for 8 years. My cholesterol's been stubbornly high and I can't get it down. They want to put me on statin drugs." And I said, "You're taking algae DHA." And he goes, "Yes, I am." I said, "Stop taking it. See what happens." 20-point drop in his LDL cholesterol just by stopping taking algae DHA.
I've heard a video about that recently. Someone was asking on one of the like it was a live stream. I forget what it was on, but they were asking that very question. Why is my and then I also hear people, can you talk to this a little bit? There are some people I see, I'm on another Facebook group. I won't mention the name because it's supposed to be kind of vegan, not vegan, but like a natural type page, you know what I mean, where people want natural remedies and things like that. But like people all the time will say, how can I lower my cholesterol? And people will come underneath and be like, you don't want lower cholesterol, you need cholesterol, and we're supposed to, and there's like this big argument that always goes on in the comments. But there's two forms of cholesterol, right? And like, does our body make the cholesterol we need where we don't need it from any other source? Is that accurate?
Okay, so this is going to blow some people's minds, but let's look at the actual research. Okay, so the requirement for dietary cholesterol from food outside of the body, is 0. There is 0 requirement to get any cholesterol from the food. As a matter of fact, if you get cholesterol, which only comes from animals, remember, plants produce their own form of cholesterol called plant sterols. Plant sterols actually help lower our bad or LDL cholesterol. So that's a positive. When you cook an animal food, you oxidize that cholesterol. Oxidized cholesterol is known, absolutely known, to cause heart attacks, stroke, high blood pressure, and Alzheimer's disease. We know that. It also contributes to the progression of especially estrogen-dependent cancers like breast cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancers. So, great study came out and said, we've known cholesterol causes atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is the #1 cause of death in humans on the planet. It will kill more people than any other cause of death in the United States. 50% of Americans will die from atherosclerosis. The only way you can get atherosclerosis is by saturated fat and cholesterol from your diet. Okay. Only herbivores get atherosclerosis if they eat cholesterol. Omnivores and carnivores do not ever get atherosclerosis from consuming cholesterol. So a bear, a dog, a cat, a lion can eat saturated fat and cholesterol till the cows come home and never get atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis only happens to herbivores. #1 cause of death in humans. Therefore, if it's the #1 cause of death and only herbivores can get atherosclerosis from cholesterol, human beings are physiological herbivores, period.
That is like just basic comparative anatomy, right? Like
It
but
only happens that.
all the people dying of heart attacks, and everybody in their family knows somebody pretty much. If you don't, it was a friend of the family who's had a heart attack or a mild heart attack, unfortunate heart attack where they passed away. Everybody that you know, probably somewhere along the line, you or someone you know has high blood pressure that's on medication. You might know a family member. Like, it doesn't really add up how people still think that we are eating the, and you've heard of people, he was in shape and he ate healthy. How did this happen, right? Because what was that definition of his healthy eating? Was he eating very little carbs and tons of meat for his protein? You know what I mean? So it's just, I can't thank you enough for clearing this up, because when I heard this, I just wanted to like scream it from the, rooftops. One of the reasons I know we both do our YouTube, because it's like, I just feel like people are walking around with blinders on, and they don't know the truth, because we're given information from so many different places and tried to be, usually it's being sold something and they're giving misinformation. So Muriel was asking where she can get the ahi flour. That's on cleanmachineonline.com, right?
That is correct. Yes, cleanmachineonline.com is the website. It's also available on Amazon too. There are a couple people that do also make ahi flour, but they make it at different dosages. I actually put the full dose in there. So, I appreciate your support. We're trying to do the right thing and get the right amount out there, and not shortchange people by trying to make it look cheaper by putting less than the clinical dose and of ahi flour. On the interesting part of that, they actually did an experiment on carnivores to see if they could force it on them. When they took out their thyroid gland, then carnivores actually started getting atherosclerosis. So omnivores and carnivores actually produce a chemical in the thyroid gland that prevents cholesterol from causing atherosclerosis or plaquing of the arteries. Now, when I first hit this study out there, people started saying, well, if that's true, then 100% of humans consuming cholesterol will have atherosclerosis. And I said, that's correct. And they're like, well, do you have any study that says that? And I said, yes, I do. So they did a study, 3,000 consecutive autopsies on people from 15 years of age to 90 years of age. 100% of them had atherosclerotic plaques on them. As a matter of fact, they found that atherosclerotic plaques start happening, the lesions start happening by the age of 9 years old. So if you're eating animal products, you've already started at 9 years old, you've already started to die. It's just going to take a long time.
Right.
People say, well, what about the 100-year-olds? People living to 100. Did you know 60% of 100-year-olds die from atherosclerosis? They lived all the way to 100, but they still died from that plaquing of the arteries. So it's there. Imagine if we didn't have that plaque in our arteries, how much better we could function. Exactly.
And the quality of life, like that's the other thing, you're still like, what, about 4 years even or less ago, you were winning a competition, right? So a lot of people at that age could not even get up and down the steps or could get around, if there was no disability that they had other than just aging, because I think we create a lot of our, problems. Unfortunately, we all do, you know what I mean? That when we were young, we didn't know what to eat. Our family thought they were feeding us healthy, and so like you said, that is really something that you just mentioned for anybody watching who has children. Like, everybody wants what's best and wants to give them health food, and we don't, we think we're giving them nutrition when in reality we're giving them something that's not nutritious, especially like the milk that we're pushed. Even schools push it. They're I believe it's kind of like subsidized or something like that with it, just to be able to provide it. And it's it's kind of sad that the whole system is kind of is not accurate, in a lot of ways. So
yeah, and as Michelle is pointing out here on the screen, that plaquing or the closing of those arteries, the shrinking of the arteries, means less blood flow, not only to the heart, which is heart attacks, not only to the brain, which is stroke, but also to the genitals, which is erectile dysfunction. Blood flow is important for every tissue in the body, not just the heart or the brain. And as a matter of fact, we now know that oxidized animal cholesterol is the leading cause for Alzheimer's disease. And if you've ever known somebody who has been faced with Alzheimer's, it's a brutal disease. It
really is.
For someone that you love to not even be able to recognize you and get angry at you and throw things at you, it's heartbreaking, that disease. It's devastating. And to know that it is preventable by changing our diet, man, that just crushes me. I mean, I lost both of my parents and both of my brothers before they turned 60. I'm 61 years of age right now. I'm in the best shape of my life, And to think that no one in my family members has even made it to 60, it's just sad. I don't want that for anybody else. It's why I do what I do. It's why I'm so passionate about it, because suffering sucks. I wish I had them here to help them and to be with them and share with them, and I don't get that. So count your blessings out there. If you have your loved ones, if you have your children, your family, your parents still with you, cherish that, and please do something to help educate them about how they, look, we all die. I'm going to die eventually, and I'm good with that. I'm looking forward to what's beyond the rainbow, right? But I want to live a quality life while I'm here. I want to live a full life. I want to be here as long as I can to support my wife and be here for her too as well. We're lifelong partners. So that's what I want. And I know there are other people that feel this way. So I hope we can get past this dogma of, oh, that's vegan, or that's this, and that's I'm a carnivore diet or caveman diet or this. Stop. Let's talk about what is the actual best thing to put in our bodies to prevent suffering, to prevent disease states, to prevent dying prematurely if we don't have to. That's what our conversation should be about. And look, and if we can achieve that and at the same time not cause suffering to animals in the process and not do degradation to our planet and the very environment that we depend on to live, why not?
It seems like it's so logical, right? And people come up with all kinds of excuses not. And I had a comment on one of my TikTok videos where someone said, vegan, no way, I gotta have my meat because these and plus these animals are treated better than we are. Well, I can assure you that's not true. And I went into why we can't even go in and look at where our food's produced. I mean, not to mention just the animal suffering, but there's a lot of diseased animals that we're being fed. They're being, like, if you think our diet is bad, what they're being fed. Mariquita was just interviewing Dr. Will about that. Like they're being fed all kinds of things, and then we're putting it into our body. And last time you even talked about how we're getting that, karma within us of those animals, and like that suffering is in us, and that's where a lot of depression and things come from. So it's like, it just sounds all around like a win-win to do, and you have the science to back it up, you know what I mean, why it's good for our body. And that's what you're, explaining to us. And some of the things that they're telling you are healthy are also bad for us. So it's like important that this truth really gets out there. Can you just take us through? I want to go over a couple more of the supplements, but before we do that, just for people watching, men especially, and women too, who are into working out, like that think they have to eat really high protein or, like a high meat diet. Can you tell us what you eat in a day and let us know that you're not starving or not eating good tasting food?
I usually start my day with either a big bowl of oatmeal with blueberries and walnuts and cinnamon, and the blueberries, powerful antioxidants and anthocyanins. The omega-3s from the walnuts. The cinnamon is a great bioactive for weight loss, for stimulating our metabolism. It's one of the most potent antioxidants on the planet, even higher than blueberries. And the oats are amazing for beta glucans, which boost the immune system. So I look at foods differently. I look at foods like I'll make a shake in the morning and I'll put 5 berries in there. I'll put strawberries because of the fisetin in there. I'll put blueberries because of the proanthocyanins in there. I'll put blackberries because they're the higher in antioxidants and very specific polyphenols. So it's a real rich polyphenol rich based meal to begin with. This gets the metabolism going. It feeds my microbiome. It sets everything else up for the rest of the day. So it's a great way to start the day with a big, full smoothie. And then, I can have something like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, something simple, but I have it on whole grain, sprouted grain, organics, and make sure the peanut butter is no sugar and no salt added, just straight organic peanuts, Keep it clean, keep it natural, keep it organic, keep it non-GMO if you can. And these things are all going to help. But it's not too different. And then maybe a big, huge salad with beans and grains and dark greens and veggies and everything else in it, mushrooms and onions, and just load it up. Just get as much of those nutrient-rich foods as you can and have fun with it. They can be tasty. They can be fun. They can be, look, you can throw almost anything in a stir fry,
Yeah.
And, there's so many ways to get the protein. Like I just had a bagel and a vegan yogurt. Both are vegan. Obviously, everything I use vegan. It was 25 grams of protein in that, and a bagel and a yogurt. So it's really not hard to get that amount of protein in a daily meal. Can be that simple. A tofu scramble can 20 to 30 grams of protein in a meal.
Oh my gosh, that picture, Geoff, that you shared of your tofu scramble the other day. If you guys aren't on the Veganowledge group or go to Geoff's Facebook page, it looked amazing. It was making us all hungry. So it's like, you can transform. Some people are like, oh, tofu, I could never eat that. Well, just like you don't eat raw meat, you wouldn't eat a block of tofu without actually pushing it up, seasoning it. If you cook it, making it however you normally flavor other foods that you eat. And you mentioned on your salad you would use like beans and rice, right?
Yeah, like I would throw farro, which is sprouted wheat. You can throw garbanzos, even sprouted garbanzos in there. You can sunflower sprouts. You can put many different types of dark greens in there to give it a, radicchio or rocket or all these different watercress. Watercress, one of the most powerful nitric oxide contributors to us. Nitric oxide helps open up our blood vessels, allow blood flow through it, and can give that elasticity so we can prevent blood pressure issues. Just look at your food as medicine and say, all right, all the brightly colored ones, they're rich in polyphenols and antioxidants. Make sure you're getting some of those in there. Greens and beans and grains. Great combination. The beans and the grains rich in fibers, prebiotic fibers, as well as starches. Starches help feed our gut, make them explode. Then our gut can actually give us more energy, get more nutrients out of the food. I mean, the plants have such versatile. We've got over 300,000 edible plants on this planet, and we eat less than 1% of them in our daily diet. Get creative. Go to other countries and try some foods.
Right. That's amazing. And like, if you wanted a taco, you would just have a taco. It's not like, if you're not a person who's like, oh, I don't want to eat a salad every day. There's amazing whole food plant-based recipes. Even if you don't have recipe, everybody can take a taco shell and put in, beans and salsa and whatever kind of meat you like. If you, do experiment with tofu, if you're not ready to prepare that yet, there are some healthier versions of, I think Beyond just came out with a healthier type version of it, even though I know most of us prefer to do whole foods. If you're having a Tuesday taco night, there's a way to do that with healthy food. So I trust me, I see what he shares of his meals sometimes. Oh, okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dawn. She's saying hi.
Hey, Don.
She was on the comments. It's magic. How did she arrive?
Yes, both places.
So yeah, it's just amazing. And then I don't know how much longer you have, but if you have a little bit longer, I'd just like to get into. Can you tell us a few other products that you have there behind you that and what they're good for?
Yeah, so one of my favorite products is our pre-workout. For those of you who do regular workouts, because it does have a little green coffee bean, organic green coffee bean. Now, resistance training, I really stress, get some resistance training in. Even 10 or 20 minutes a day can really make a difference in your health. Not that vegans have generally a higher risk for cancer, but vegans still can get cancer just like everyone else can. And they've shown amazing studies, and this is multiple studies. So even in meta-analysis, where you're looking at a broad range of studies, it's consistent across the board. Basically, the more you do resistance training exercise, not endurance training, not walking, not swimming or biking or whatever, but resistance training. That's either using free weights or using machines or cables, or like Pilates is resistance training, or bands. What's that?
Climbing a tree?
Climbing a tree is close because you're using your body weight. So body weight is a form of resistance training. But anywhere that you can get resistance training, one, it strengthens bones. We know that, especially for women who might be having some osteopenia or osteoporosis issues.
A friend Angela talks about that all the time. Thank you, Angela.
Definitely resistance training. And Angela does resistance training, which is awesome. So that's a great way, because our bone is a response to resistance. The more pressure we put on it, the more we have bone there to help us do it. But resistance training, vitally important, we now know, for cancer. So there are certain chemicals within our body that are released that protect us against cancer, and they go way up after a bout of resistance training. So you are much more resistant to cancer every time you exercise, especially with resistance training. And it's not like
That's
you have to get in there and
spend. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, and most people don't, which is sad because, you know, cancer is a brutal disease. Cancer is growing so fast, is going to overtake heart attacks as the #1 cause of death in America. That's how fast cancer rates are growing in the United States. And it can be reversed or is stopped or slowed. They showed people already with cancer, if they exercise, they lived about 50% longer than those who did not. Just by exercising, not changing diet, not changing anything else they do, just purely exercise, and extended the lifespan by 50%. That's with cancer already, but obviously it's more important to prevent the cancer to begin with.
Right. Yeah, don't wait for something to happen, because it's always more difficult to reverse than to prevent. So especially if you're younger and you're watching this and you're an athlete, you know, stay working out, get the diet right, because it's both, you know, it's a lot of both of those things. And that's such an important message. Thank you for putting that out there.
Actually, colon cancer has just overtaken lung cancer as the #1 cancer killer of Americans. And colon cancer happens because of what we put in our mouth, which ends up in our colon. It's food. It's our food choices. Heme iron is an iron that's found only in animal flesh. Plants do not make heme iron at all. It's 0 heme iron in the entire plant kingdom. All right. Heme iron is a free iron. So what happens to metal when you get it wet?
Like rust, basically.
It rusts, right? It oxidizes. That oxygen is corrosive, and when it touches tissues, it damages and destroys tissues. So we now know heme iron. Now, They used to think, oh, heme iron absorbs so much faster in the system, so it's more important than plant-based iron, right? Because it's slower into it. Wrong. Just the opposite is true. Because so much gets into our bloodstream, our body says, wait a minute, that's too much oxidized metal coming into our system, and our liver puts the brakes on it. And then no heme iron can get into our bloodstream, so it all builds up in our colon and causes colon cancer. We know this about colon cancer. We actually have the exact method of action that it forms in nitroso compounds, heme iron does in the colon, and directly causes colon cancer to happen. And it's the #1 cancer killer of men and women in the United States, higher than lung cancer caused by smoking cigarettes.
And amen. Thankful. So blessed that Dawn, I'm so happy you're vegan. She's a survivor of that when she was young. So thank goodness that I feel a lot better now that you're making, those food choices.
Harvard just put out a study showing the highest rates of cancer among people under 50 is colon cancer. And they see it now killing people as early as 20 years of age. 20 and dying from colon cancer. 100% preventable by just removing the heme iron, which is only found in animal flesh. Just remove that and you don't get the colon cancer. Killing people at 20 years of age? That's sad. That is so sad.
It really is.
Now, here's the good news, though. There is, with plants, what plants do with their iron is they bind it to a powerful antioxidant called phytate. Now, you can see all over the internet people saying, oh, phytates, they prevent iron from being absorption. No, they prevent iron from oxidizing, so they won't damage or cause colon cancer.
Oh, that's why everybody.
It only breaks off when your body needs it. Instead of heme iron just says, I'm going in. It just absorbs wildly. No, our microbiome sends a message. Our cells actually send a message to our microbiome saying, I need iron, by secreting a chemical. The microbiome picks it up and goes and breaks off that phytic acid and delivers iron only when we need it. That way, all the rest of the iron that the plants have is protected by a powerful antioxidant. It prevents the oxidation of the iron. So it will never rust. It will never cause cancer. Okay, if that were enough, that would be cool. But what happens to that phytic acid? It's called IP6. That phytic acid then can go attach to colon cells and block that from oxidation from other things. So it blocks the cancer on our own cells.
Wow.
Okay, that would be cool. But then the cell can actually absorb the phytic acid. It goes into the cell and will kill a cancer cell. So it protects against cancer. It prevents the cancer. It can destroy the cancer cell. And then it does something no other compound on the planet can do. It can go in and attach to our DNA inside of our cell and correct the DNA and change a cancer cell back to a normal, healthy cell.
Oh, wow.
There is not a drug by any pharmaceutical company in the world that can reverse a cancer cell back to a healthy cell. And plants do this all day, every day, if we just consume them.
That is amazing. And our body, what I preach this all the time, is our body is so smart. It wants to keep you alive, right? It doesn't want to form these diseased cells. It's something we're doing to ourselves, and we don't want to believe it. We just want to think things magically, or not magically, but things just happen, and there are things that just happen. We know this. But the way that you're describing this, like, there is so much research being put into how to stop and reverse cancer and heart disease and all these medications, yet our body has the magical cure if we feed it the right fuel. And that's where it comes in.
One of these things, heme iron, only found in animal tissues, only causes colon cancer, #1 cancer killer of humans. Plants, on the other hand, produce phytic acid. only found in plants. You don't get it from any animal products. And it not only stops cancer, prevents cancer, protects cells from cancer, kills cancer, and even reverses cancer. Something nothing can on this planet can do except phytic acid. The solution's really clear. You eat
Right
one,
in
it'll
front of
kill
us.
you. You eat the other one, plants, and it'll protect you and save you. I'm just like,
There's
why are
no
people
thing
not
in
getting
the
this?
world that could taste as good to me or could be a habit if I were continuously knowing that's what it was doing to my body. But I understand I used to eat that, but now that I know, like I understand, if you don't know, you don't know. But once
Right.
you hear this, you can't unhear it. So you'll start to be motivated to eat good stuff. And then it starts actually tasting better than the other stuff. It just, you have to let your taste change, and you got to do it in a way that's right for you, how you can, plan the meals out for you and your family. It's really easy though once you're into it. Like none of us struggle each day that are here that are vegan what to eat, or it's really difficult, or we come up with these new fancy recipes every night. It's just the same as how you go in your kitchen now. You just have a different selection of food that you put together. Like Angela, who's on the screen, her and Vicky were on last night, and they did a strength training workout plus a meal preparation. And she took sweet potatoes, which are very filling, very good. Did the put beans and salsa on top of them. Oh my gosh, it looked so good. And then some fresh veggies on top and garnished it. And it was like, how easy is that just to cook up a sweet potato? And that's how easy your life could be. You wouldn't have to go through a lot, but you'd be putting all those good things in you, like people are scared of potatoes and carbs, and they're really what's, along with plants could be healing us, right?
Totally. Plants are our medicine. They are our food. They're our nutrition. They make all of the nutrients that the human beings need, except for vitamin B12 and K2, which are made by bacteria. And K2 is made in our gut. And what does it make it from? Our microbiome. The microbiota in our gut takes vitamin K1, which is the number one source of vitamin K1 is dark greens. So eat your dark green leafy vegetables. They're loaded. Just a single serving of kale will give you over 1,000% of the K1 that you need. Then
Yes.
that bacteria comes in there and munches on that K1 and poops out some vitamin K2 for us, absorbs right into our system. Our liver collects it and holds on to it. So our body, given the right foods, will produce all the vitamin K2 that we need. But those bacteria feed on fiber. Well, great. What do dark greens have? Fiber and vitamin K1, both the food that you need to feed the bacteria so they multiply, and then they will make the vitamin K2 for us. It's right there. And then when you eat animal products, it lowers that bacteria. So you produce less vitamin K2. It has no fiber in it. So you're not feeding that, and that kills off even more of those bacteria that produce these things. Do you see how the choices, whether animal or plant, that we put in our body wreck our microbiome, change the way our nutrients are absorbed, makes them either toxic or non-toxic? It's just so clear. The more I get into the research, the more I am like, why are doctors not saying this to their patients? Why are academics and teachers not teaching this in high schools and in college? This is what we should be telling people, because this is how we can live better lives. Isn't that what we should be doing for each other? Seriously.
It really is. All the things that people are doing and all the good causes and the organizations and all of these things that are out there, that piece is just hidden. And I don't understand that. Like you said, this is what should be taught in school, but it goes against that cultural norm so much that it won't, and we're slowly, because when you started talking about the word vegan wasn't even, a phrase when, or a word when you started. Yes, we've made progress. There is some things about me, but there's still a big, like, um, like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but when you hear the word vegan, people still just close their mind off to it, And I think getting things out there, because everybody wants to be healthy. No one wants disease. And if we could get the right information and get this wrong information out of people's eyes, because naturally, I think we want, if we are already doing something, we want to hear positive reinforcement about why that's right. And that's why this crazy carnivore diet has blown up. Yet us on here probably talking about the vegan diet, people are like, oh no, that myth around it that you can't get enough protein and you won't have energy and you'll wither away to nothing. Well, this man right here and many others that he knows that I've seen him in pictures with are living proof that you can be vegan. Corinne, I hope I'm saying the name right, is coming on Monday with me, and I'm so excited because I saw you and him in a photo together, both showing your muscles, and to have you both in 3 days is like amazing. I feel so thankful. And it's like, we need to really get this information out there. So I thank you for educating us, because I can tell people all day long, but I don't know all those intricate details. You have the science to back it up too.
And it always is strange when I say, yeah, let me tell you about the benefits of plants. No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to change. What I hear in my mind is, here, I have $100,000 for you for free. Go ahead, take it, please. And they're, no, I'll have to change my life because then I'll have to buy new clothes and things, and that's going to stress me. I'm like, what?
Right.
I'm giving you something for free, information that could save you from suffering, that can make your life better. And you're saying no? What can you do?
What can you do, right? The people who are ready and to listen, they will listen. And I'm so thankful that some people are getting in. And sometimes it takes about 15 to 20 things from different sources that finally clicks with it, so just even if they're not willing to listen at first, I think eventually it got in there somewhere, maybe it somehow got somewhere in there, and then they'll hear something else. But I know that you saying this has a lot of power, because especially I think most of the people who are against vegan and I need my meat, and like the guy that mentioned that on the thing, like they just don't want to believe it can be done. But it's really like any habit, just like if you've ever smoked or anything. Yeah, it's difficult at first. Of course, you're going to have to change, but wouldn't it be worth it? And when you say plants, that's what I want to clarify too. We're not walking around with a head of lettuce. Plants are fruits. They're every kind of vegetable. If you have a cabbage, soup, that's a plant. If you have a vegetable soup, that's also a plant. I think people, when they hear plant-based, they just think, oh my goodness, instead of this, holiday or this weekend, I'm going to have to just have a plate of romaine lettuce. And yeah, it'll save me, but I don't want to do that. But it's so different than that. Plant-based just means not meat and not dairy products, which there's tons of ways. I actually, I prefer plant milk now over what I remember regular milk to taste like. It actually tastes better. And especially now that I know I'm not, causing baby cows to not get their milk, it's like, we never put that together though. I was just talking about my cats. We love our pets. Like, some people have insurance for their pets and will pay, tens of thousands of dollars if something goes wrong. They put them before themselves. And then we take all these other animals and we don't realize that that's the same little personality. It's a living being, So I love when, like what you've been talking about, to help us make that connection. And I know we went on a tangent with that. But I was wondering if you could, I think we cut off, where were we on the supplements? I was like, do you take any protein like in the morning from your shop? What would be the best to recommend in case there's like bodybuilders here that want to get that extra protein?
Oh, based on the research, pea protein is one of the best of the plant proteins. But remember, pea protein, rice protein, hemp protein, they're all isolated proteins. Even tofu is technically an isolated protein. So tofu is not any different in composition, really. It's an isolated protein, just like pea protein or other proteins. If you eat a Beyond Burger or something like that, that's isolated protein. What I'm putting together is I wanted whole food protein sources, but I wanted to make it accessible, something that people could travel with, that didn't spoil, that they could just mix with anything and have a great source of protein. And I finally found a truly whole food protein powder. So
Nice.
it'll be vanilla and chocolate, and it's coming out this summer. We're probably just a couple of months away. I'll be the very first person in the world to bring this source of protein to the marketplace. This will be the first completely whole food protein powder with
I'm
all of its
excited.
nutrition intact. I'm really excited. It's what I'm taking now, but I can't share it with you quite yet because we're
leanmachineonline.com. I'm going to post that link not only in the description, but you'll be able to just go right to the comments of this video and click it after. Obviously, these comments will go away, but I'll put it, if you're watching the replay, you'll see his website. Go there and check in on it. I'm sure if you sign up for an email, there'll be like a notification.
most definitely.
When it comes out, when he has, lots of times he puts out really cool promos and things like that to help out people who might want to order one or more of these. Because I mean, like, I would just buy the whole bundle if you have a bundle, because it's like everything is just amazing. The ahi, to get everything you need from a whole food source, like there's always, like, I feel like all vegetables and fruits are designed in a way that they're perfectly engineered. Like the fiber in fruit slows the sugar uptake and things. So they're like, getting it from the whole source has so many more nutrients than just that isolated source, I would imagine.
Yeah, and this one, because of its unique profile, because of its unique source, will also boost the immune system, will increase cognitive function, and has one of the strongest, most effective longevity nutrients there is. And so I'm just really excited. Yeah, I launched the very first organic vegan D3 from algae. Now this one's really cool because it's completely 100% vitamin D3. If you get vitamin D3 from other supplements like mushrooms or lichen, they can have also vitamin D2 in it because those organisms actually make vitamin D2 naturally, where this algae only makes vitamin D3. So it's 100% pure D3. D2 can actually decrease the amount of absorption in vitamin D3. So vegans really didn't have an ideal form of vitamin D3 up until I found this form of vitamin D3, the very first organic, pure, 100% pure vitamin D3 from organic algae. So first to bring that to market. And then N10's our pre-workout, one of the first to bring Rib Factor to market. Rib Factor, they used computer learning and asked the computer basically, give me the best combination of any plants, take all the database of all the information that's out there to promote healthy muscle gains, strength gains, and fat loss. And the computer gave these two Ayurvedic medicines, East Indian globe thistle and mango tree bark. Who would have known to think to put those two together? And what it does is perfect for men and women. 2 times increase in muscle, greater increase in fat loss for women. And in men, it increases testosterone by 3 times. So you're getting a nice testosterone boost, but a 0 testosterone increase in women. So you're getting the muscle gains, strength gains, and fat loss without affecting your testosterone levels at all.
Oh, that's amazing.
So crazy. I've never seen an herbal supplement that was gender specific.
Right. It's almost like it adapts to whatever we.
Exactly.
It's like there's plants I've heard like that, right? It's like adaptogen, but not in that way where it knows if you're a man or a woman. Like you found crazy.
Exactly. So the best results I've ever gotten from a supplement ever in fitness. So leaner, stronger. I do 450-pound bench press at 61 years old, drug-free, natural, drug-free,
Get these
100% drug-free.
supplements, right?
I don't even take aspirin. No drugs in this body at all.
That is amazing.
450-pound, push downs for my tricep muscles. That's 10 45-pound plates at 61 years of age. This is when most men are getting into sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss. I'm gaining muscle. It's weight, I'm 188 at 5'9", and 7% body fat. This is great. This is the power of plants, though. When you feed your body these amazing plants, your body can step up and do and perform in ways it doesn't without them. It's incredible. I'm just so thankful for the plant kingdom. I get up every morning and say, thank you, plants, for all of the essential aminos, all of the essential fats, all of your vitamins and minerals, the oxygen that we breathe, the building materials that you yield for us. They take sunlight and convert it and attach that sunlight to our nutrients so that when we break open those nutrients, it releases the sun in us. That's energy. That's what plants do. They make all life possible on this planet. Without plants, animals, humans do not exist on this planet.
That is amazing. I love that. I just want to screen record every time I hear you say something. I'm already thinking about the short video because it's like all these little powerful morsels I'm getting out of there. I want to rewatch this so I can learn too, because sometimes I'm like, I think of another question and then I'm like, oh, I want to ask this. And just really quick, when we talk about like a lot of bodybuilders and athletes in general get injuries from time to time, of course, I've heard other vegans say that they actually notice their body repairs quicker, or they're not down for the count for as long, in other words, with this. And what do you feel creates that? Like, is that the plants? I guess I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's what that is, right? The chemicals in the plants.
It's 100%. So let me just leave you with this one little last morsel. Is this beautiful symbiotic relationship between exercise. Okay, so when we exercise, we create lactic acid. It's a waste byproduct from when you're squeezing the muscle, right? You're producing lactic acid. Okay, so our body has to get rid of this lactic acid because if it builds up, it starts to burn. That's the burn you feel is lactic acid burning your muscles. So that can cause damage. Here's something cool. We take this and push it into our digestive tract. And guess what eats lactic acid? Lactobacillus, the #1 bacteria in our guts. Now, they take that and say, thank you for feeding me. I'm going to start grow and populate, and I'm going to break down the fiber that you eat and turn it into short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate. This goes into our gut and reduces the inflammation caused by our exercise. We feed them what they need. It's our waste byproduct, right? Lactic acid hurts us, helps them. They say, thanks. I'm going to turn that lactic acid into butyrate, which will help reduce your inflammation from your workout. A complete full cycle. It's so beautiful.
It was all put here just perfectly for us, and we're just ignoring all of that and not utilizing it. Come on, everyone. This has got to have inspired you, to be better to your body and take what what's right in front of us, what God or whomever you believe in, the Creator has put here on this earth. Everything is perfectly laid out for us, and we just have to follow the natural laws. I love what you said about the sunlight. I can't wait to re-listen to that over and over again.
And it's a beautiful thing. There's so many things that we've copied from plants, that we've mimicked from plants. Our biology, when we look at our biology, we're like, oh, that's just us copying the plants. That's our cellular biology, copying and imitating the plants, because the plants were the original life forms. Plants in single cell form were the first forms of life in the ocean. And then fungi, which was a different form of single-celled, actually took hold of the land and made the soil fertile. And then plants could actually move onto land. And then when the plants were there, thanks to the mushrooms and the mycelium, the fungi, then plants could grow, and that allowed animals in the ocean to move on to the terrestrial side. And the rest is evolutionary history. So without the mushrooms and without the plants, no life on land would be possible to exist. So remember to be thankful for that.
And I know we're getting ready to wrap up here. Muriel had a question, though. Are your products gluten-free?
Every single one of our products are non-GMO, gluten-free, third-party certified, vegan, and natural.
Excellent. Thank you. Now we know that answer if anyone asks me after this stream. That is amazing. I mean, and they're quality products. And honestly, they're not overpriced. And I wouldn't know what overpriced is because these sound like they should be priced high, but I can tell you have a very competitive price. I was surprised when I heard all the benefits the first time I listened to it, or when I read your post, I clicked the link like, oh, let me see if I'm going to be able to afford this in this lifetime. But they're very, very affordable. And like I said, you also then bless us with promos so we can get all these nutrients. Because like you said, as good as the food is, there's things missing because of how I think I've heard recently, our agricultural industry, while they try their hardest for financial reasons and things, there's also reasons farms aren't putting the right things in the soil. Sometimes it's not grown for our absolute best nutrient. A lot of time it's grown for profit. So having these extra things that you can get, even if it's something you think you're getting from your vegetables, it does not hurt to have a supplement. And it's not unnatural, because our world is unnatural, basically, as Don said when he was on here, before. We're not living in the same world, Geoff said, like we were 2,000 years ago too.
Speaking of supplements, just to take the pressure off, I'm going to do a pop quiz for all of you who are still watching. If you can name the #1 most used supplement in the world, I will send you a free bottle product of your choice.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So do I get to guess too? Let's let the guests guess. I'm not going to be mean and guess, but I think I know what it is, but I'm not positive. Do, 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 do. Oh, I don't want to
guess, but the
copyright
#1 most used supplement in the world by humans. More people consume this than any other supplemental nutrient.
I feel like I know, but I feel like it's too easy what I'm thinking of. Oh, it's so crazy. Oh, okay. Muriel has a guess. Let's see. Muriel said vitamin C.
That would be a good guess, but no.
I was thinking B12.
That would be another good guess, but no.
Oh, that was my first one. Then I had another one, but I'm not going to say my second one yet. This is tough, right?
It is a little bit of a trick question. So
I knew it.
Think outside of the box.
But then I'm like, if it was the right answer and I didn't get my free, well, we got another answer. Oh, we have two more. Okay. Mariquita said probiotic.
And that's a good one, especially now. It's one of the fastest growing supplements, but not #1.
We've got iron. That was actually one of the second choices I was going to say. I bet that's right. Good job, Michelle. Was that right?
No, it's not right.
Oh, man. Let's see. I'm running out. Oh, wait. We got another one. Here comes. Muriel said vitamin E.
No, that's also very popular, but not #1.
Okay. How about D? Oh, wait. Boomer and Beyond already guessed it before me.
It's funny. She's accurate that vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's a hormone. But no, not even vitamin D.
All right. So let's see. How about it's got to be something that I'm missing here. And you said.
All right. I'm going to give you a clue because it's a real stumper, but I'm going to give you a clue. It's a mineral, and it's not iron because we've already discussed that.
Does it start with an M?
It's a mineral.
A salt? Magnesium?
What did you say?
Magnesium or salt?
Salt. Salt is
Oh,
the correct answer.
iodine
Salt
also.
is a mineral supplement. So we don't use it as food. Oh, there's lots of
I
good
know
guesses.
everything's coming in now. GABA.
So salt is the #1 most used mineral supplement in the world.
Wow, that is
More people
amazing.
consume salt and far too much of it, to be honest.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, and
If you're watching
okay,
the replay, comment your
now
answer.
that you know the #1, can you guess the #2?
Okay, what do you guys think?
It's in the same frame of thinking as salt. Most people don't think of salt as a mineral supplement, but that's exactly what it is.
Did I mention it just a few minutes ago? Insult? Okay.
The test was too hard. Sorry. I'll do a simpler one later, but
That's what I thought. You know how they put
we have a good answer.
we got
We
it.
have a winner. That's it, Michelle. That is correct. That is the
Oh wait, is
#2
Diana still
supplement.
here? She got me the spell. Thank you, because I was jealous because Dawn had one, but Neo's sleeping behind me, so I can't ring it too loud, Michelle. But great job.
Yes,
Sugar.
sugar is an isolated carbohydrate. Just like protein powder is an isolated protein, sugar is isolated carbohydrate. Just like oil is an isolated fat. So you have 3 different forms of isolated macronutrients. Isolated protein powder is isolated protein. Isolated carbohydrate is sugar, for example, and oil is it. So Michelle, go ahead and give Michelle my email address, or you can direct message me and we'll send you a free product of your choice. Great answer.
Nice. And I bet she's gonna have to share it with Muriel, her mom, too, because she has some good guesses, right? That is amazing. And I know they were really interested in the products and asking a lot of
So it
great.
makes you think a little bit of differently. Coffee, sugar, tea, these are all supplements. We think of them as food, but they're not. They are supplements to our diet. Food has all the macronutrients in it, whereas these things are actually supplementation. So when we think about supplements, everything in your spice cabinet, those are all supplements because we're supplementing the diet with an herb in a powdered or extracted form. That's what a supplement is. So I want to take the dogma away from, oh, supplements are bad. No, we eat supplements all day long.
Right.
Tell me one meal you haven't had that has no salt, no sugar, and no spices in it. Yeah, that doesn't
Exactly.
happen.
Not very many, I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly.
That is so true. I never quite thought of it that way. I'm glad you brought that up. I would love to. We would have to do a whole nother hour, and I know we got to wrap up here. I'm sure we're all. I'm starving, but I would do this forever because I could I know you're just as passionate, so I'm gonna let everyone get to their evening in a second here. But I would love to hear more about salt one time if you ever come on again. If you want to set up, when things settle down with the business in a couple of months, I would love to have you on because I think that's one of the most misunderstood things online now. People are like, you need it, you don't need it. And so Rogue is clapping. Awesome, Muriel. We're so happy for you. I'm glad. And they're such great people. They're always on all of the live streams. So I'm happy that they won, and everybody had awesome guests. I know Angela from Boomer and Beyond was just letting us win. I know. I'm sure she knew the answer. Carrie, thank you for joining us. Let me just run down the list here. Great questions. Diana Varner, plant-based. Dawn, J&J Video Reacts, thank you for stopping through. I know you're busy. Michelle, Muriel, Marakita from Harmonic Earth Healers, Angela from Boomer and Beyond Wellness. I think Carrie was here. I think I mentioned her, but now I can't remember. I'm getting old. I need to lift my weights and get my brain going, right? But everyone, thank you. I really, really appreciate you all. And I want to let Geoff finish out with any last minute comments, and we just want to mention again where they can find you. And oh, he has some really interesting podcasts too, that's in the description, so check that out. I know Clean Machine Online is the website, and so take it away, Geoff. What do you
Yeah,
want
I do a weekly podcast every Thursday at 4 p.m., but you can always catch the podcast later on YouTube at Clean Machine Online. And I cover all the cutting edge research, the stuff that you don't hear in the mainstream, to try to help educate people. I really feel knowledge is power, and I really want to empower people with nutritional knowledge, because it's one of the things that we not only can enjoy our lives better when we have this knowledge, but we can share it with other people. It's a gift you can keep giving to other people. So I really encourage you, if you like the videos, if you like this video, please share it. Let's get this information to out more people, because I think some people honestly just need to hear the information because they've never heard it before. And I think once they get it, it's so intuitive. Plants, our own body, our own physiology, it's intuitive. It makes beautiful, perfect, harmonious sense when you hear it. So that's how you can really tell the truth, is that when it all fits, it's good for the animals, it's good for our body, it's good for our microbiome, it's good for our health, it's good for disease, preventing disease, it's good all the way around, then that's what rings true. And the plants are really there for us. Our body has adapted to the plants, of eating plants, for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And we've evolved to an amazing symbiotic relationship with the plant kingdom and the mushroom kingdom. And when we cooperate with that system, our lives change. And I've been a benefactor of that. I feel like a nutrient evangelist, that I just want to share this with other people. Like, when you find something that brings you joy, brings you health, it's just natural to want to pay that forward and share it with other people. So I encourage you to do the same.
Thank you so much, Geoff. You are an amazing wealth of knowledge. I've learned so much here, and I'm going to learn even more in the replay here when I re-listen to it and be able to rewind it and be like, what was that? The heme iron things, the things you mentioned about the ahi flour. Like, it's just amazing, all the research you've done and put it into not only sharing your journey online and on your channel, but like also inspiring people with your products in the supplement industry, where we know we're getting a good high quality product, and we're excited about the new products coming out too that we can't know about, but it's going to keep our interest curious. It's going to make us really like cats when you won't let them in the room. They want to get in there. We want to know what it is. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Geoff, I really appreciate all the time you've given me. I know we went probably over our allotted hour, but I appreciate you, and thank you and your wife for everything you do, and congratulations on an amazing business and on your health journey. And I just wanted to say thank you, but I'll keep going on if you don't cut me off.
Thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone, for joining in and listening. And I really appreciate it. But sharing is caring, right? Let's get this information out there to help more people.
Yes, like this video, share this video, go online on his links and share his studies, and subscribe to his page and sign up on the website to catch new products. And we will just be so thankful. And everyone, just check out his info, and thank you for being here with me. And if you're watching the replay, please subscribe, join my Facebook group. As you know, everyone on there, I'm always sharing his things on Facebook and commenting on his YouTube. So thank you, Geoff. You're a legend. Thank you for joining me.